Perfect.
To our left side. We both have our better sides are left.
We have a good side and a better side.
Yes, good side and a great side.
A good side and a great side. Great.
Hi, we're Alana and Janet from Baddies, and today we want to teach you how to do a number 1 fade with a skin taper. To start, we'll do a horseshoe parting, just to get the hair out of the way so we don't accidentally cut it, and then we're going to go in with a number 2 guard and clear the canvas. Another reason that we like to start with the number 2 is so that we ensure that we don't go too high on the fade. Because we know we want to end with the number 2 before we start doing scissor over comb. Going in with the 2 and putting that line there.
She's on fire.
Make sure that we know that we'll keep the fade low so that we don't end up with like a 0 all the way at the top of the head. Now that we've cleared the canvas, Alana's going to go in with the 0, and her clippers are all the way closed. She's just going to take it really low to the bottom of the temple and create a nice dropped line from just around the ear, sloping down the back of the neck. It's important in this movement to not go too high with the 0, and we always advocate for keeping close to the contour of the head, rather than creating one flat horizontal line. Creating one flat horizontal line often creates a problem where you're also going to be fading way too high, and you might even like run into trouble with cutting into the cowlick, or some people have dips in the back of their head, and we don't want to showcase that too much.
There's just like little strands that the clipper couldn't get.
This is good snip sounds.
Oh yeah, this is good snips. We'll get good snips, but yeah, this is really good snips.
All right, so now that we've put in that 0 line, Alana's going to go back in with the number 1 and start blending into the 2. It's going to look janky at first, but trust the process.
Yeah, don't be scared of the hard lines that you're creating.
You should also note here that she has the number 1 closed.
Yes.
And that's important for when you actually really start to blend in to the 2, because then you're going to start opening up. And then we might pop on the 1.5 to like you really get a good clean fade.
Okay.
And now that we've put the 1 all the way around Ray's head, Alana's going back in with a 0.5 guard. She has the clipper all the way open. She's going to work around the head with it open and then gradually close it as she gets closer to the 0. Yeah, I guess another good thing to point out right now is when you start, if you start with it closed, you also risk taking that line too high and messing up the good line work that you've already put in. But if you start open and you aren't getting any hair, that's how you know you can start gradually fading it down to closed. so what are we doing here? We have this big heavy line, and Alana's gonna work, she's gonna blend with the corner of the clipper. Just using like really soft feathery movements, blending with the corner of the clipper, takes out just like, it's almost like cutting with thinning shears. Kind of blends it out really smooth without blending it up too high. And don't be afraid to tug on that little ear. You want it out of the way, you don't want to cut it. And powder is your friend when you're doing a fade. You always want to make sure that you're getting rid of those like little pesky hairs, so you know that like it's just loose hair and not hair that's still on the head that needs to be blended out.
Mm-hmm. And even if you know that there's still blending to be done, like in the skin fade, just know that you're going to refine at the end. Do one or two passes through, get it as blended as you can, and move on. It gives your eyes a chance to reset.
Now we popped on the 1.5 guard. Again, we're starting with the clipper all the way open. You see how Alana's like fading up into the 2 to kind of start to diminish that like harsh line between the 1 and the 2. She'll gradually start closing the clipper once she knows that she's not getting any hair.
It looks like my clipper is completely flat against the head, but it's actually a little bit on an angle, still using the corner of the blade. This is how you keep making an extra line that you don't want. Open again. You can lean towards me, Ray. Yeah, perfect.
And see how she's just like gradually closing that up. And we're just seeing that line fade and fade and fade out. All right, so here you can see Alana's already, she's gone back, we're done with the 1.5, and now she's going back over her work with the 1 to start blending out the 1 to 1.5.
So at this point, I'm cutting with my eyes and my ears because this is a tricky part of the fade where you're really trying to refine it. And your eyes might see that it's blended, but you're not really sure. So you use your ears to hear the little hairs being cut. And that helps you get that very blurry fade. that we all want. Again, I'm going to get as close to what I think is good as possible, but I'm going to move on so that I don't overthink it. This area right here needs the same kind of work, so I'm going to do the same. I'm taking off my one clip and I'm opening my clipper. And I'm using my ears.
So we're basically all faded out now, but this is what we view as the most crucial step in the fade, is going back over all the work all over again in the same order. Alana's going to start with that 2. She's going to go and open and then close it up. After that, she's going to go back in there for 0 and make sure that that line is really clean. Again, she's just going to blur it out with the corner of the flipper. For some people, this might seem tedious. To us, this is the juiciest part of the cut. This is where it all comes together. Very much cutting with my ears right now.
I'm also pulling the skin, I'm steadying Ray's head, and I'm also pulling their skin taut, so I have an even wider, more stable surface to work on. And I'm still hearing a little bit of hair being cut, but I'm seeing it almost exactly how I want it. Okay, so now I'm using the wall detailer. This is even closer than the zero close on the clipper that we were just using. And so this is going to get this part of the fade even tighter. Okay, so I'm going to go in, stretch Ray's skin, and I'm going to flick out. And then I'm going to go to the first part of the ear, just right like this. And notice how I'm just gently grabbing the little hairs, and I'm not going up into Ray's hairline. Okay, now this part is very important. You don't ever want to take someone in, and what that means is you don't want to go against the natural hairline. You want to work with the natural hairline. So pulling the ear back, and just really lightly making that line nice and sharp. Do the same thing on the other side. For the stem. Flicking the wrist. Following the natural hairline. And then the same thing on the back, just flicking out and away. The reason you're flicking out is so you don't create a whole new line that you then have to erase.
And now that we've gone back over our work with our 0 through 2, Alana's just gonna go in and scissor over a cone, just kind of like really add like a soft edge before we drop the top of the hair. What's nice about going back in with scissor over cone is it does create like a little bit more of a beveled edge, so you don't get like a super sharp edge. It also is just a nice way of transitioning the top from the sides. This is a part of a cut where, depending on your client's hair, they have product in it, or if like it's gotten like really kind of messed up just from being up in clips, you can either just like saturate it fully like Alana's doing with the water bottle, or this is also a nice time to go and actually just give your client a shampoo to rinse.
So now I'm taking a profile parting to cut the top. And we want to retain length, so I'm really just taking a little bit of a trim, using point cutting to keep a nice textured edge.
Snow, see, we got a little kerchunk in the back. We're just gonna smooth that little baby out real quick. Snip, snip, snip.
Mimi always says, I'm a brunette Devon Sawa. I was like, I think he was a brunette. He was like dying his hair. Yeah, actually, yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah.
Let's just one side is good for right now. Yeah. This is why I don't do this.
Here, we'll
You didn't do anything wrong.
give me a second with my own hair.
Yeah. Body. There we go.
Maybe we'll do it if I encourage it to do that. Sort of like that. Maybe I could pretend I can see myself here.
Yeah.
All right,
Just like
we've
that.
reached the end of the cut. We really hope you learned a lot today, and please stay tuned for more.